Everybody, to another episode of the Power Source at Upper Room in Preston, Minnesota. We have a really exciting guest tonight who is, I think he sets the record for coming the furthest distance to be on our show. Yes, that's right. It's the one, the only Timothy Young. Yes.
I'm here. How are you?
So he came all the way from China, believe it or not, which have we had anyone from another country yet? I'm trying to think. I guess we had one he was from Bulgaria, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
he lives here now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, either way, it's still the furthest. Yeah. But we are going to hear a really interesting testimony tonight about what it's like to be a Christian in China and a non-Christian, and then also someone who is studying in the United States for seminary and the experiences that go along with each one of those stages of walking as a Christian. So, well, we always want to have people kind of introduce themselves. It's awesome that you can be here tonight. Do you want to tell the people at home a little bit about yourself?
Sure.
How you became a Christian?
Sure. That's an exciting story because I became a Christian because of Minnesota Nice. That's
Because of Minnesota.
right. That's
awesome.
I got the term when I was in college. That's 15, 16 years ago. So I was born and raised in the smallest province in China, which called Ningxia, kind of next to the Mongolia or Inner Mongolia province.
Yeah.
So I went to college there too. So I think one summer night, and I was in the campus wandering, and there showed up a tall Minnesota. I didn't know he was Minnesota. So American,
Yeah.
young,
Tall American guy.
yeah. So I remember his name is Mitch. Mitch. So he came with maybe 3 other Americans to do the mission work. But they are they try to be the student in China, so studying Chinese so that they can do those evangelism thing in the campus. And 15 years ago, the policy is very tolerating for those people who are doing Bible study or foreigner.
Interesting.
So that's how we got to know each other. And then the second time we met, he began to tell me. I remember the question he asked me. Said, "Who is who is the most important person in your life?" And my parents.
Yeah.
That's not true because I'm a mean person to my parents.
You heard it here.
Don't tell them.
Yeah, don't tell them.
and then and then and and then he began to share his important person. He said Jesus, and then began
Is
to
that
tell
your dad? Or is that your father?
yeah, it's Jesus.
Yeah.
And then began to explain how he died. He said he paid for my sin. He paid for the debt of my sin. I said, then I should pay him back. So,
Good response.
and then, but because of the culture I was raised, so it's kind of like all the people around me disagree with Christianity, think that Christianity is against the science, like other religions. And I also realize older people think of my generation, my grandparents, their generation. They have a lot of Christians because that's before the Chinese communism take control.
Yes.
And then for a long period, the Chinese cultural kind of the propaganda, everything controlled or suppressed by the communism. So which means from my parents' generation to my generation, we don't have many Christians until the missionary came in China. So I was thinking that my grandma is a Christian, but I think my grandma is so ridiculous for her belief. So and also growing up part of China, we think about Westerners. They bring weapons on one hand, brings Bibles on the other hand. I was so suspecting what does he want to do for me, but I was so moved, touched by his love, and they're doing miracle works for. They have 3 persons or 4 at most, and they share the gospel in 4 years. I think at least just that 40 or 50 people believed. So we have So we have kind of have separate groups, small groups. They rent a house, maybe around 10 each Sunday night or Friday night. And then I also went to a largest kind of gathering of those groups, which about, I guess, 40, 45.
Oh.
So now I'm thinking of that is quite a good number.
Oh.
But that freedom now is just not anymore.
So it's gotten harder to be a Christian lately, or?
Harder to be a Christian, hard to be for everything right now.
Oh.
So last 10 years, I think Chinese people have the same feelings as American too, because here people told me it changes so much. Because China, we are in the year I was born is kind of 1988. The Chinese began to open the door. So things are changing better. And then starting from 10 years ago, every resources is shutting down and the propaganda is just trying to control you. And this is similar here. So just hard. And Christian mentality, yes, for sure. So
Wow. So before you became a Christian, are there a lot of atheists, or do you have to, or other religions?
I think that's one of the ridiculous thing is when you are growing in the communism countries that we don't believe any God, but you have every God in your life. So my parents, they don't have God, we love their gods, but if they're in need, they'll go to the temple to worship. So I call myself atheist, but I don't know. It
was really just not believing in anything or switching.
Yeah, just the switching and also empathy. And I don't respect myself. I don't have identity of my whole. I guess people who grow up from a communism country, we kind of only have the ideology of group. We lose our personality. We lost our identity until Christianity come into my world, kind of restored me, saving from the pit a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing to say, because that's one thing I noticed too about Christianity and about God,
right?
And Jesus, I mean, he was very personal,
right?
He saw every person as being uniquely created.
Yeah.
And that's what really drew me
right.
To Christianity, was that identity that's unique to you, and that God created you unique for a reason.
Right.
And there's no one else like you, and that's what's beautiful about humanity. I mean, with all the people in China, there isn't another Timothy, that's the beautiful thing. And so that would be really interesting to live in a society that says you must be like everyone else. You cannot be unique. You can't stick out. You have to worship the government, I guess,
right.
or the system.
Right.
I guess that's kind of your God.
A teacher.
Yeah, your teacher. Yep. So it's very unique, I think, for people to hear that at home too, that might not know that.
Yes.
About what communism actually looks like, especially if you're a Christian.
Right.
So is there actually a national church then too that the communists have?
Yes. So I will start a little bit of history from China. So Missionary came to China kind of, I think, about 200 years ago. They have started that and do mission works for at least 70 or 100 years. So they built a lot of churches, different denominations from abroad came to China. But in 1994, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, they controlled the whole thing. They began to the kind of agenda to unite the whole church. They call it the three self church, which is three self-ruling, self-propagate, and self-fund. So their main reason, the main purpose is to cut off all the resources from influence from their home church back to overseas, and then just worship one kind of church leader. So that's called the government kind of government church, which is only legal church, government church. And so it's kind of just united every denomination. Here you have Lutheran, Catholic, and non-denomination, whatever, but they united to one.
And you were saying that the government controls like any money they get or what they teach?
Right now they control almost everything. So So government church, we call the three self church, which is very interesting. That is, so you know who is above the church? It's not Jesus. It's called a department. It's called the United Front Department, which you have heard many times, which is kind of the national intelligence system.
Wow.
They are controlling church, and they are sending their people who have positions to in charge, to be pastors. So you can imagine how hard to be a real Christian. There are a lot of Christian, nice people in the church, but when you're being growing up or kind of receiving those messages like a communist is received, you can believe what kind of church it's going to be, and it has become.
Yeah.
And then this side is government church, and then the family church, house church, which we call underground churches. So I mentioned that about maybe 15 or 10 years ago. It's quite open. The largest church is the church I attended, which is in the city around me. I was in college. They have 200 members.
Okay.
But now the government won't allow you to do that. They only allow you to do to kind of only. I heard this story I recently heard, which was in Shandong province. So once the church maybe 10 years ago, they have 80 people. Then government asked them to separate into 40. And then as years goes by, 20 and then 10. Now they only allowed about 5 people gathered to worship God as a group. So you can
Wow.
kind of the communism agenda is not get you right there. It's just to okay,
It'll
slowly.
so you don't notice it's happening.
Right.
It's like boiling a lobster or something.
Yeah,
It doesn't
that's
know it's
true.
boiling until it's
That's
actually
true.
boiling and it's too late to get out.
And the also crazy thing is there are always some people who are sensitive, who are loving God and notice that. And the whole system they trained would regard him as a troublemaker, a weirdo, and then they have their strategy they have always a strategy. We're in charge, we're becoming, and they have strategy to pull out. We united everyone because I'm nice. So I'm nice to all the people around you, every system around you. Just you're the weirdo, and then you're out. So
Wow.
that's one of the communism. Their kind of internal study material. One policy they applied everywhere in the church, outside the church, inside of the country, outside of the country.
So what happens if you're not following the rules as a Christian? I mean, can you get in trouble, like put in jail or taxed or?
I'll give you a very good explanation for that. So there's a province which Chinese province called Inner Mongolia, which is next to the country Mongolia. So the capital is called Huhahat. So I think about 5 years ago or 4 years ago, it said only the government church they're allowed to sell the Bible. So none of others could sell it. So there is a family church of members. I think there's several. They try to sell the Bible to those who didn't attend, not members of the government church, and then they got sentenced harshly. So one lady, she was sentenced to the prison for 6 years, being charged for 1 million, which is worth about 150,000 USD dollar.
Wow.
So our salary is about maybe per hour is less than $2. You can imagine the charge because she was selling the Bible just in a lower price even. She was not making money but losing money. And she was prison until the February this year because I checked them. So you can imagine how hard it could be.
Yeah. So if there, and would the same thing happen to, like, let's say there's a house church that has 20 people meeting instead of 5, would the government come in and break that up or shut it down?
Yeah.
Or
They could. So you are under control. So they could accuse you for any reason.
wow.
They could get you as long as they want. So that's why it is important for Chinese people. We have a kind of we call it 关系 relationship, which means your family, your relatives, or some people who are important, have power, and they can speak for you when you're facing those things.
Interesting.
So,
wow. My goodness. That is.
But if you don't have that, you're just a normal person like me, common people. Good luck.
Yeah, wow, that is incredible. So, the house churches or the underground church that you mentioned, is it similar to what we have here for churches? You've been here a little while and you've gone to some of them, or is it different? Is it more Holy Spirit?
Got you. Yeah, that's a good question. So here it's very similar to the Bible study at one's home. So, the family church I attended in my town, we have about 40, then reduced to 20 people, and we have Sunday worship. And it's fine. I think it's almost fine. Even we know there will be someone from the government coming inside, and then our church workers, we have about 3 or 4 workers, and we studied at the pastor's home.
Okay.
And the church is at his home too.
Okay.
So that's Bible study. And yes, if you don't want to go to the Free South Church, and the only option, I guess, is family church, maybe Catholic or someplace.
Okay, interesting. And you mentioned earlier that there are people from the government who are spies, essentially, from the intelligence agencies that go into these house churches or into other places in the church, and they'll pretend to be someone else, but they're really spying to make sure you're not doing anything that would endanger the government.
I meant one.
Okay, yeah.
So here is a very interesting story I'll give you, which is, will cause me trouble, so I need your prayer and courage.
Yeah.
So definitely will cause me trouble if I speak it here. So I became a Christian, like and then about 10 years ago, and they're missionaries, and they went to my town, and I was a bank teller.
Oh.
And this missionary, he was about 70. The only reason he went to our city because he was so old that no city wanted him. So he went to my.
Interesting.
Okay. Got to the vertical.
That's awesome.
Then at the second or third year in the bank, I was able to speak a little bit English because I having to do English thing for a decade. So
okay.
He thought my name is Timothy. So he thought I must be Christian. So we began to communicate. And he began to teach me the Christianity. And also, it's so funny at that month is, so he came here, he came of the missionary came into my life. At the same time, his interpreter of the house church I was going to attend came maybe a week later for other reason. And he came for other foreigners. But I got the communication, be friends with this missionary, with his interpreter. But I never realized they know each other. I never realized he is his interpreter in the house church.
Wow.
I'm going to attend it. And then his interpreter bring me to his house church. And then we figure out we know each other. And he's a kind of a missionary teacher here. And then it's so funny that God miracles. And then this interpreter, I call him Alex, he left in Spring Festival. For what reason, I don't know. Then all of a sudden, I didn't know English because I was kind of new after not learning English for many years. I became the interpreter for him, and he said I'm doing well and blah blah so well, and then we just keep on doing it for 2 years until he recommended me to the seminary. The headquarters is in Hong Kong, but they have so dedicated to the Chinese mission. They send their great professors from America, and they send their multiple resources, money. They build another part. They found apartment resources in Beijing, so we can go to Beijing to study, also online learning. They kind of created a model for Chinese people to become missionary or pastor.
Interesting.
So here's the point. So one of my classmates, I only met him online. I thought, oh, he's so faithful because I'm interpreter. I mean, I was interpreter and the translator for their homeworks.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, he's so faithful. I want to meet him in Inner Mongolia, the province, not the country. So one time we got a chance. I go with other, maybe 2 or 3, I think 2 seminary and one pastor visited his church, his government church, and he's very influential, you can tell, and about my parents' age, so influential and make you believe everything as a good church leader, good faithful Christian, powerful, influential, good for this synod, and then we went there together. I think the 3rd day we have a trip together, and we were doing some sports together, and I was about 28, 29, and he was about my parents' age. We're doing some sports which make everyone feel busy or, but he looks fine. I just did. I also I want to be nice because I was a guest. And I said, how can you be so weird? You're older than us. How can you be so weird? So well in from this sport was we are just and he said, here's what he said. He said, so when I was in college, the government to come to the college to pick up those people who have good intelligence, good forgive my English, suffering spirit or a kind of intelligence
steadfast.
I mean just a steadfast, also just a right person.
Okay.
Well, he's the right person to found, and then they trained him. He said, kind of a lie testing, the losing weight testing, like the astronaut, astronaut, and a lot of things like that. And then after graduation, the government put them into different companies, commercial companies, and they give them titles, and they allow them to do everything they want, to collect the data, everything they want. Wow. I was always a kind of simple person. I said, hey, that is fine.
Yeah.
He was super angry looking at me. He said, that was a spy. But that's for the government, because for Chinese people, we think that's for the government, that's the best, that's a good job. So that's a very moral thing. And then that evening, I think here's one thing. I offended him so badly because I know his dirty secret. And the second thing I offended him so badly because we have kind of like here introduction in the group study. At the end of my introduction, I speak one sentence which made him so angry, which is I said, I had nothing, but I have Jesus, which means I have everything. And he started to rise. He started to use all kinds of insulting words. Wow. Everything he could do to degrade me as a human, as a Christian, in front of all over the place. And it is so weird. I think he has some satanic skill, which I didn't realize until I came here study some theology, Bible. So because when he was verbally attacking me, there's a weird feeling that I can feel there's a very dark, stinky cloud in my belly. It is turning around. And in a sudden, when he speak down, it's come out. My whole mouth becomes so stinky. I never expected that. And then after that persecution, I left the church. I hired myself. I quit the seminary. I found a job nearby to have good skills. But it's also hard to run away from his territory because his team is the one who, remember I mentioned the lady,
Yeah.
their team United Front, his United Front department supervisor, their team just charged the lady 100
Yeah.
yeah, 1 million RMB and put her. So I knew his secret, and I knew what's going to come to me. Because, but the sad thing is, it's only me to know. The other people, pastors, because he just wrapped him so well.
Yeah.
So it's,
Wow.
I couldn't
So
let.
he was a spy, but it's almost like he was protected or something like that.
Angel.
And yeah, so you couldn't there was nowhere you could go to do
No,
anything.
I mean his territory.
Yeah.
And so one of the common
Wow.
their strategy is they degrade person, name them a mental health, and they can put them in the camp, then
Wow.
whatever they want. And I realized
That's frightening. So they basically say you're Christian, you must be mentally ill, you need to go in an institution.
no,
You're crazy.
not Christian. They just think I'm a weird person, I'm a mad person. He said had mental thing. He said that. And he
Wow.
used other things too. First, he used the words to isolate me from the other people. And then second, to use the word to degrade me. And third, he's also moving me kind of to the next step is kind of put in the path.
Wow.
So when he gave them name, if I'm being offended, I raise up, I yell at him. It's just
And you get in trouble.
I got in trouble. I got a mental health. Surely I got mental health. That's in his territory, and he was so nice. And then the next day we have studied together. I didn't fall asleep for a whole night until we have studied at 8, but every day was busy day because he never allow us to have the 7 to quiet time. Always schedule is from 6 meeting him to 12 o'clock.
Wow.
That's every day. So that day, that was Saturday night, that's Friday night, he persecuted me. And Saturday night, we have a Bible study. And I realized that if I didn't act well, I could be in trouble. So if I didn't sleep,
Wow.
I only sleep 1 hour, maybe from 5 to 6.
Yeah.
But I just
Wow.
attending class, saying hi to him. He was astounded. He was astounded looking at me. And the people around him just looking at me. Are you all right? What? I'm good. What are you saying?
Wow.
And then that's Saturday. And then I think he was not suspicious about me anymore because I just like a normal person. He thought maybe I have no threat to him. And then also his main focus is on those pastors because he's going to send him and the 6 of his followers into the seminary.
Okay.
So
he would be a spy in the seminary.
yeah.
Too.
So he invited those pastors to the party together, and I found the excuse to run to the hotel, and then I just
Wow.
It was over.
Yeah.
And that very night.
That's a very stressful experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the very night. Because it's Sunday, they're going to have worship together, have communion together. I don't want to join them at all, and I don't want to be there also facing danger again.
Yeah.
So, since I'm only one to know it, when I was quiet at night, the seminary around me, those nights I could only cry, shed tears when I make sure people around me fall asleep, and I will swallow all my tears, all my saliva, anything, because I couldn't make any noise. Or the seminary, even they have good heart, because they know the words of the pastor was harsh. So even anything, they have good heart, report me to that spine.
Wow.
I'll be in danger. So
that is frightening.
I got up at 6. I got up at 3 in the morning, and I found taxi at 3:30, and then I just
You escaped.
escaped to the train station and waiting for my train.
Wow.
Which is about 5:30. I changed my schedule. I should be going the next day, Sunday in the afternoon, which the train station is 5 minutes away from their church. But I choose sorry, excuse me, an hour away one.
Yeah.
And to go there.
Wow.
So
This sounds like a movie. I mean, that's
is.
incredible.
And
I mean, I don't know anyone that could relate to that here. And I mean, it makes me thank God that we aren't at that point in the United States, because I can think of nothing more frightening than what you had to go through.
yeah,
I mean, like that. I mean, that, oof. I mean, you were, I'm sure, thinking the whole time, like, how do I get out of this situation? Is my life in danger? You know, will I be in prison? You know, things like that.
right.
For saying just something like that, like it was such a simple thing too that made him, you know, act that way. I don't have anything, but I have Jesus, so I have everything. I mean, that should get people's attention. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all it took. And it reminds me of some things I've been seeing. I mean, people have seen these things in the news about people getting arrested for praying, not even out loud, just praying in certain places in public or whatever, and getting arrested or fined. And that's in the West now. In Europe, I mean, in England, we've seen that, in Canada. And it makes me feel like we need to be praying for our church now, because that persecution is right on our doorstep.
Right.
It's right outside the door.
Right.
And so what you're saying, I mean, we should be considering very carefully,
Right.
and also realizing we have something special here that we need to protect.
Right.
Because I take a lot from what you said about how the Communist Party in China didn't just come in and, you know, arrest everyone and burn down the churches or anything like that. No big show. It was very gradual without people even realizing it. And I think we're seeing the same thing here in the United States. And I should ask you, actually,
Okay.
you've been, so you escaped, obviously,
Yes.
and you ended up in seminary, and you came here
Right.
also. So you've been here and you've been able to experience the church here a little bit. What are your thoughts on that? What have you seen? Should we be concerned about where the church is at in the United States, or where our government or our country is with regard to Christianity?
First I want to say that I'm in Lutheran Church all 3 years because I'm in Lutheran Seminary.
Sure.
I think that's a great blessing for my life, for my belief. And I enjoy being there. I enjoy the liturgy, the faithful doctrine, everything. And I think I didn't say much about the church I just heard of it, of other churches. I think the church right now, even they have pressure from the world, from outside, but now because facing this persecution, they just united together. So that's what I say. But I do have my observation, because I didn't know other denomination churches, but I have my observation of the idea of being here. So I see some signs that which is very similar to my country, which one term is called political right.
Oh yeah, being politically correct.
Yeah,
Or,
political.
or being, who is in the right party politically.
Yeah, so I think church also need to realize that. So because when political right, that can be manipulated by the media or government, let me put it this way, because I'll give you explanation, which is the Chinese one-child policy, so which cost 300 million abortions at least. But for 25 years, that's a political right. So when I'm hearing the word of political right, it's so weird happening here. And then the other thing is, because I know missionaries from America maybe 10 years ago, almost 20 years ago, friendly, but I heard from the media or civil media, so some people are so easy to be offended. I don't know why. I just think, which is so similar to my country, because people are on guard, being right or wrong, or being offended. So
And,
So,
and there's and it sounds like it's in China,
right.
it's as if it's us versus them, or
Right.
there are groups of people. Are you in this group or that group? There's
Right.
no middle ground.
No.
And it's like you have to identify with a group or
Right.
else,
Right.
where do you stand?
Right.
And that concerns me a little bit too. I know what you're saying in the United States. It's like there's very little middle ground
Yeah.
anymore. It's
Yeah.
everyone is here and they're building the walls of a
Right.
castle around
Yeah.
their point of view. And it sounds similar to what you just talked about, where there's the Church of China and there's
Yeah.
spies, and then they see the others, which is the home groups and the underground church, and they don't really mix. I mean, they are separate,
Yeah.
and this one's trying to control that one, it sounds
Right.
like it.
Right.
Oof,
Yeah.
yeah, very frightening. Well, it's interesting you see that as uh, with a fresh set of eyes that
Yeah.
maybe we don't see that here
Yes.
as much, but I feel like people here are starting to understand that now,
Gotcha.
and that similar to China with propaganda,
Right.
we're starting to see a lot of propaganda here about different things too, where you watch the media or just entertainment shows on TV,
Right.
even they're trying to manipulate how you think,
Right.
and they will twist the truth
Right.
and try and convince people that you're crazy if you don't think this way.
Right.
We are the right ones. You need to be here. We're the correct ones.
Right.
If you're not here, you're crazy, or there's something wrong with
Right.
you, or there are a lot of bad things they'll say about you, like you're hateful, you're racist, you're sexist, or whatever, all of those things are being weaponized to make people think a certain way, which is exactly what the Communist Party does.
Yeah.
With propaganda.
So you say the racist. Let me show you how to play the game. So this is a testimony from the pastor whose member was studying the seminary. One day he told me that. So sometimes those people from the Inner Mongolia church, they would say the weird thing. So one time they said, we yellow people and white people, we are good. We should boycott the black people.
Huh.
That's in their classroom, they're trying to influence others. Here I tell you how to play the game. So because they're white people, so they're saying that. Then if they're along with the black people, they say, they bully you, we're your friends.
Wow.
So that's how to play the game.
Interesting.
So
that makes sense.
I speak too much, you have to pray for me. So.
No, I know what you're saying. It's very interesting though to see.
No, I just show you how to play the game. So
yeah, it's very interesting, and that's almost what it feels like. I mean, even as a Christian, it's like you feel the pressure
yeah.
from society
Right.
or culture to act or think a different way that doesn't match up with
Yeah.
the Bible or
Right.
what Jesus teaches us or who we should be as Christians. And thankfully, I don't think we have spies in the church like you do yet. I mean, at least that's not allowed yet. Hope, I mean, the prayer is that we don't get there, that never happened.
Yeah.
That is the prayer.
So
And right now we're good,
Yeah.
God willing, that we will never get there. But
so here my observation or my conclusion of United States of the Christianity of the United States. So I told that there is no country in the world do the even tenth of the charity thing as American people do as a nation. And there is no, I think there are a lot of missionaries from maybe British in the past, but America, this country has did so many mission works in the last 100 years, more than any people, any country in the whole world. And this country, they're very inclusive, acceptance, loving heart. You can tell from how they raise their kids that they, with nature, love, and care God's words, which is important, the kids grow. So when those kids grow up, this generation spread the love to the next generation. They spread the love to us, to the whole world. Think of how I became a Christian. I become here because of the generosity God gave, because of Jesus' love in American people's heart. So I just want to encourage you that even you're facing difficulties, you're facing challenges in the disagreement, but you are a united people and you are precious in God's eyes, and you have loved us so much, which I don't deserve. And I have to share with you another story, which is her name is I use another name, which is Julie. So Julie came to China during the COVID-19 period because she has a heart for China, and he was quarantined in Shanghai. I think that's 2024, 3 months. Very tiny room, junk food every day for 3 months, and then afterwards, she went to the province where the school is, and she got quarantined, locked down for another 2 weeks. And then she started to, teach, love Chinese people, Chinese students. But the sad thing is she got leukemia in China, but she got recovered.
Okay.
And then she got it again. And then 2024, while I was in Indiana study, she went back. She went back to Indiana to get the hospital care, and she was planning that. If she could get healed, she would go back to China again. I was so impressed. And here, do you want to know the ending?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Welcome to the next show.
Yeah.
No, I'm a kind person.
Yeah.
So, so the story, we have the last meal together. She said, I'm ready to go. So she went to China a year ago, healthy. When I saw her in the beginning, all pale. Now she even was able to visit my parents. And she was in the school teaching kids and sharing Jesus' love and sharing the love of American people. And you can tell she got long hair, is pretty. God bless America.
That's awesome. And this should be really encouraging to anyone who's gone on a mission trip before, or has thought about it. Maybe this is something that will prompt you to go, because I think sometimes missionaries, they don't fully understand the impact of what they do.
Right.
They may never see the fruits of their labor.
Right.
But it is so important that we love people, and it's sometimes that simple. It's just showing people God's love.
Right.
It doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really makes an impression on me about what you said. It's not that these missionaries did anything really difficult. It was very simple, and that's what surprises me, why there are so many Christians that haven't gone and been a missionary, because I think a lot of Christians have that heart, but they think it's something difficult that they can't do or something. And it really is simple. It is very simple.
Yes.
And Jesus made it very simple.
Yes.
Just loving people is the main part. Well, that's very impactful. And it sounds like now you're going to be, so you were here doing seminary for how many years?
I have been here for 3 years. I'm going to finish in fall.
Yeah.
But I consider pastor is not for my path.
Okay.
So you can pray for me for my next direction.
Maybe you're supposed to be a missionary.
Who knows? Who knows?
That might be it. Yeah, missionary to the United States.
Oh, sure. I love the United States.
That'd be great.
You can tell, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I got red.
That's awesome. And I know we have a limited amount of time tonight because he has to fly to Indiana, right?
Right.
Fort Wayne.
Right.
So he's literally after the show getting on a plane to go
Yes.
to Fort
Yes.
Wayne. So we have to
Yes.
kind of do a little bit shorter show tonight.
Uh-huh.
But I want to know what your impression is about, you know, what's next in China. I mean, we want to be hopeful for them.
Mhm.
And what can believers here do to
Okay.
support what God is
Okay.
doing in China or to support you?
Okay.
Um,
So do you mind while I'm preparing that answer, I just want to finish my story?
Yes, yes.
So I don't want leave you
We'll do that first.
Okay, and now
Yeah.
also thinking that part. So
Yeah.
so I quit the seminary in 2020. I was hopeless, wandering out of the church. Then 2023, I called a missionary who was in China, said, "Hey Ben, can I come to your school to study? I don't want to be a pastor, but I just want to come somewhere to study after doing this seminar." He said, "Why not?" The next day he reached the kind of register center,
Yeah.
sent me the emails, what I should do. So I will tell you the conclusion. So in 3 months, I called him in 2023, March 12th. And then I got my visa, which means the offer, everything is done in June 13th. So which is in 3 months.
Wow.
So including I need to fight everyone in my family. I need to quarrel with my
They
family.
didn't want you to leave.
They thought you were saying nonsense. You're going to America. How where you don't know. And we have the common house we bought together. They disagree to sell it for my study. You know what? I'm a dumber person, so we just for 2 weeks, and then my mom said, "Finally, we made the decision that you go because what? Because one day you just shaved all your hair, you become bald." Then my mom said, "I told your dad that we're going to lose him if we don't let him go, sell the house." Then it's a miracle that in 1 week my house was sold and in a very good price. Now, if I sold it now, it's only worth half.
Wow.
So it's also a miracle how my parents also here the school, the seminary, the Lutheran seminary, the synod is so generous to me. That's one of the reasons. Also, my parents they can raise money after selling the house and also supporting 3 years. So that's how I end up here.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
here I'm visiting your church.
That's awesome.
Wow. So, yeah, I was
Very exciting things happening.
Now I'm going to answer your question.
Yes.
Don't feel offended.
I'm glad you shared that. That's awesome.
Christians are nice. Not easy to be generous. So my thinking is Chinese people, so my generation, we are living in two separate worlds because when we were young, we are hopeful because of the open door policy, we are getting richer, we're getting more knowledge from the outside, Christianity coming, but then we were getting old. All of those, what we have experienced in good ways, now is bad ways, the pressure, the economic, the society, just we were hopeless. I think the whole society of China is becoming hopeless, but I see hope. I'm pretty positive for Chinese mission in the future. I think it's in God's control, it's in God's hand. I think China's door will be opened in the future very soon. So, well, if you're in China, you're listening to this, be kind to your people, to me. So,
Yeah.
so
Yes. Yes.
so
Huh.
open in the future, and then those love from God, from America, from the whole world will pour back to China again. And Chinese people, we are, if there's no communism, we're nicer people.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, nicer compared to who we are now. So,
Yeah.
so we will be friends, just like I'm sitting here talking to you, we'll be friends. We only met twice.
Right.
First time we have a strong conversation, you decide to invite me, and
Right.
we'll be one friends. And so Chinese people enjoy prayer. Those people who don't have, I think the first thing is financial thing, because finance is so bad. People are suffering. I have a lot of stories for that, but I won't share it tonight. And also spiritual people, even the music nowadays, the movies, they're junk. There's junk of junk in China. So so we need spiritual. We need those talented people with Christian love come to China, give their love to us, and the country need to restore from communism. The people need to restore from the division, from the the separation from God. So that's my vision. You can always pray for Chinese people. And as for me, God bring me so far. You can hear my story is not easy. It's not always easy. I told my parents that I'm a person who always sensitive as a man, always crying, but I'm crying all the time. Now I got the feeling that I cried last minute and the second minute I can laugh. God, you couldn't do that all the time. Just let me laugh.
That's good.
So my point is, you can pray for me for my new journey, the next step, and my heart is on Chinese people. My heart is always be gratitude to American people, to the Lutheran congregation, to no matter I have teachers from ELS, LCMS, and Wisconsin Synod, Wells. They're so generous to us. And let me tell you what they're doing to me now. So, pastor in the first English Lutheran church, they trained me, they taught me English so well, fed me so well, host me so well this summer. So I can be here, share the love from them. And also, they even, to honor and love me, to match my schedule, they even sent me a member who has an airplane. It makes me like a celebrity. Like after this show. So I guess this is the first time to hear, right? But God is amazing. So that's my request pray for my next step. So I know this show always the guests end up prayer, but I don't have courage right now, strength. I need to do you mind to pray for me?
I'd be happy.
For or
So for anyone at home, certainly you can join in and pray with us here, both for Timothy and for the people of China, and those people who are in the underground church, the house church, and even those people that are in the government church that God can encounter them and radically change that church. So, all right. So, Father in heaven, we pray in Jesus' name for your blessing to be poured out upon Timothy, upon his family, upon his ministry, and upon each person with whom he comes in contact. Each person, Lord, we pray for divine encounters. Lord, bring people into his life just like you've been doing from the beginning of his relationship with you, Lord. Bring people into his life to continue to guide him, to be a lamp unto his feet and light unto his path, just like your word, Lord, to guide him, to protect him, to help him grow in his faith, Lord. And we pray that you give him revelation of what his next step is, Lord, whether it's a missionary, where he's supposed to go, what he's supposed to do. Maybe he's supposed to be a pastor at some point. Who knows? Lord, let your will be done in his life, though. Jesus, we love you. Lord, you've given him your heart for other people. Lord, let that light shine from him, that love pour out from him to every person he encounters. Yeah. Lord, blessings upon Timothy. Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Well, thank you for joining us. And,
Thank you.
it's really my prayer that at some point we get an update, where you are in a year or 2 years or 5 years, that somehow we know what God's doing, So if you think of us in 5 years, be sure to send us a postcard or something.
Thank you. Thanks for
I really want to know what happens next. It's very exciting. So, well, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Make sure that you share this with people that need to see this. Be sure that you pray for Timothy and for his ministry that God's going to be creating and formulating over these next few years. And of course, for the people of China, God can do a lot there, and there's a hunger growing. Like Timothy said, there's an emptiness and a loneliness and a hopelessness that is really affecting his generation. And that is an opening for God, for God's love and God's power and God's presence. So keep them in prayer even tonight. And one more.
Tomorrow,
Yes.
the 31st.
Yes.
And Wyckoff.
In Wyckoff, that's right. Before we forget to, we're gonna close with this. There's another What concert at the Wyckoff Commons in Wyckoff. Is the band Disciple. Look them up. You can hear their music on YouTube. You do not want to miss that. And it's a free concert, right?
Yep, and then Meet Me in the Water is.
Yeah, and then we have the baptism event and the revival event in Peterson, Minnesota is going to be coming up in August here. Do not forget about that. That is a
Yeah.
wonderful event that has its roots in some really miraculous experiences that the organizer had, some miraculous healing. And one of the events in Ohio, actually, there were 1,600 people who got baptized and experienced that revival.
Yep, it's Saturday, August 28th.
Saturday, August 28th.
Sunday, August 29th.
And Sunday, August 29th. That is in Peterson. Do we know exactly where in Peterson?
I do, I have an address, 87 Centennial Street.
87 Centennial Street in Peterson, Minnesota. That is something you do not want to
You
miss.
could just drive around, you'll find
you'll
the crowd.
Peterson, there's more than 4 streets, I guess, but you'll find it.
It's small.
Look for the crowd of people.
Yeah.
Look for the big crowd of people.
Yeah.
So do not miss that. That is a life-changing event. So we'll have a wonderful week. We'll see you again next week. Be blessed.
Bless.